Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we are observing the auspicious appearance day of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who is a great Acharya in our parampara and who is considered as seventh Goswami. So he appeared on this day, and his contribution to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is very important, as he has revived the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition in the purest form after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we know that after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Vaishnava Sampradaya became gradually polluted and they became Sahajiyas. As a result, the pure tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya was broken. And people in general, they lost hope in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, seeing the activities of the Sahajiyas, those who are taking the name of the Lord but doing all kinds of nonsensical activities. And still now also we find there are many such sampradayas, those who do not follow strictly the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur actually revived this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya in its purest form, which now we are experiencing by taking initiation in this Sampradaya. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he appeared in West Bengal at Birnagar because his family was living there at Birnagar, and he was the son of Ananda Chandra Datta and Jagan Mohin Devi. And from his very childhood, he was inclined towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The astrologers who saw his horoscope, they predicted that he would be a great scholarly person and also a great devotee of the Lord. So in his childhood, we see he had great faith on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and specifically, he was attracted to Lord Ramchandra because he was staying in his maternal grandfather's house, and his maternal grandfather was a great zamindar, and he had such a nice building that people used to come to see that building. that was very attractive building his maternal grandfather had. And they had a garden where there were many mango trees and other fruit and flower trees. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, in his childhood, as the children, they love to pluck fruits and eat. So he wanted to eat the mangoes in the garden of his maternal grandfather. But people used to tell him that there are many ghosts there, so you don't go there to the garden. But he was very much desirous of eating the mango in the garden. So he was thinking how this fear of ghosts would go away. Then one day, he went to the lady who was taking care of the store of his maternal grandfather. And he asked him that how this fear of ghost will go away. Then that lady said that you chant the chant the name of Lord Ram, and the fear of ghost will go away, and the ghost will also go away. So since then he started chanting the name of Lord Ramchandra, and then his fear went away, and then he went to the garden and ate mango from the trees. And he also told his friends, boyhood friends, that if you would all chant the name of Lord Ram, your fear for the ghost would also go away. So they all chanted the name of Lord Ram, and they would go together to pluck mangoes from the garden and eat it. So since then, he developed that faith in the holy name of Lord Ram. And gradually, at the age of 5, he went to school in his maternal grandfather's village. And at the age of 9, he studied astrology. And when he was 11 years old, his father left this world. And he got married at the age of 12. Because in those days, early marriage was there. So, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his childhood name was Kedarnath Datta. So he got married at the age of 12, and his wife's age was only 5 years. So, after studying the preliminary education, then he shifted. Within the age of 10, actually he read Ramayana and Mahabharata. And he was very much interested in the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra. Because not only Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, even in the whole of India, people are attracted towards the ideal character of Lord Ramchandra. So, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was very much attracted to the life of Lord Ramchandra because he had an ideal character, but he could not understand that time the pastimes of Krishna. And that was natural for him. So he was avoiding to study the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, specifically the Raslila pastimes, because he could not understand that time. So later on, he moved to Calcutta, where he studied in the college. And while he was studying in the college, he was also writing articles in the magazines. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was very famous at that time, he was Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's teacher in the college. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he wrote a book on the Supreme Lord. But he interpreted in that book that the Supreme Lord has no power. Because this Mayavad philosophy was very much prevalent at that time in India, and still now also. This Mayavad philosophy is very much prevalent. So then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he could not accept this. And when he read that book of his teacher, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, so he questioned him. He asked him that, "Dear sir, have you seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead and then you have written this book?" Then his teacher said that, "No, I have not seen or I have no realization." He admitted of his fault. So, in this way, he actually developed a good relationship with Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Because Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar appreciated his question. And later on, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar helped Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in so many different ways. So, after finishing his college education, then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wanted to see his grandfather, who was living in Odisha. His grandfather was Rajvallabha Datta. And because he had some problem with his relatives, he had left his residential place and he had shifted to Odisha in the district of Kendrapada. And there was a village called Choti. So he lived there in the bank of Birupa river. And he was a great sadhaka, and also he would forecast things, different things. So he was living there alone, like a sannyasi, wearing saffron cloth, and he was doing his bhajan throughout the day, chanting the holy name of the Lord. And at night, at 12 o'clock at night, he would cook some khichdi, offer to the Lord and eat it. So he was taking this once in 24 hours, khichdi. So that time when Bhakti Vinod Thakur wanted to go to see his grandfather, and that time there was no transportation system available. No train was there, no bus was there. And people used to walk to go to any other place. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, with his wife and his mother, he walked all the way from Bengal to Odisha to see his grandfather. And on the way, he had to face so many difficulties. And then when he arrived at Choti, where his grandfather was living, as soon as his grandfather saw Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his wife and his mother, he started crying. Because after a long time, he was seeing his relatives. So then, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur stayed with him for some time. And one day, his grandfather, he was sitting on his bed and chanting the holy name. And that was midday. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, after taking his lunch, he came to his grandfather and he sat next to him. And then Rajvallabha Datta told Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur that after my departure, you don't stay in this place. And I am giving you blessing that in future you will be a great Vaishnava. And then he said that at the age of 27, you will get a government job. And saying this, then his soul left his body through his Brahmarandha. So he left this world. Then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has to do all the rituals of funeral and other things. And then after that, he got a job in Bhadrak High School. He became the headmaster of the Bhadrak High School. And during that time, he visited Sakshi Gopal, Jagannath Puri, Bhubaneswar, all these places. And during that time, he also wrote a book named Moths of Odisha. And when he was staying at Bhadrak, there his first son was born, Arnada Prasad. And then after some time he was shifted to Medinipur, to another high school. And when he was living in Medinipur, then his wife had some disease and she left her body. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's son was only 10 months old when his wife left her body. And his mother was there with him. So then, to take care of the child, he had to marry again to Bhagavati Devi. And then, during that time, when he was staying in Medinapur and doing his job in the high school, so he had some discussion with the Sanskrit Pandit of that high school. And for the first time, he came to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in Bengal. He did not know this until that time. So for the first time he came to know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he was born in Bengal, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread the holy name of the Lord to each and everyone and delivered the conditioned souls. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was very much attracted hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when then later on, because that time he wanted to know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Charitamrita was not available at that time. So he had only little bit discussion with that Pandit, and he was attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And during that time, he also gave some exam in the law exam. And because of that, then he got another service in Chhapra district of Bihar, where he became deputy registrar. And then he stayed there for some time, and then he gave some other exams in law also. Then he became deputy magistrate in the district of Dinajpur. And when he was staying at Dinajpur, that time a friend of his gave him the book Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then also he got Srimad Bhagavatam. And he became very happy by getting these books, and he read Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life history from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he became very much attracted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always observed in Krishna Prem, and he was also teaching everyone to worship Krishna. And his teachings were also based on Radha Krishna's pastimes. So when he saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was worshipping Lord Sri Krishna, and he was listening about the pastimes of Krishna within the circle of his intimate devotees. So then he thought that Radha Krishna's pastimes are actually to be heard, to be concentrated, and that is the goal of our life. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayam Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Brajavadu Vargena Jakalpita. So Lord Krishna is worshipable as his land Vrindavan, and the way of worshipping Krishna is the way the Brajavadhus or the Gopis showed. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur became attracted to Lord Krishna's pastimes. And then he also wrote a book called Sri Krishna Samhita. So in this way, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wanted to revive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings as it was lost in due course of time. And he saw that the so-called Vaishnavas, those who were telling themselves as the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were not following the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in that way, they were actually degrading the tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur developed a desire to reorganize the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Vaishnava tradition and propagate it to establish Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult. So after some time, then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was shifted to Jagannath Puri as the deputy magistrate. And he stayed in Jagannath Puri for 5 years. And he was staying on the Badadanda, that is the Grand Road in Puri. And that place is still now there. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in that place. When Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was staying in Puri. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur actually was taking care of all the festivals in Jagannath temple like Rath Yatra, Snana Yatra, Julan and other festivals. As he was the deputy magistrate and he was supervising all the rituals and also organizing the crowd, that how people would come and get darshan of Lord Jagannath nicely. So he was organizing that. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was also very fond of Jagannath's dal. Jagannath's Mahaprasad is very famous, and specifically he was very fond of that dal, sweet dal. So whenever he would go to Jagannath temple, someone would come and bring dal for him. So whatever service he did for Lord Jagannath, so Jagannath was very much pleased with him and offered a great son to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in form of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So while staying in Puri, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur got information from the commissioner of Odisha. That time Revensa was the commissioner of Odisha. He got information from him that there was a man who was posing himself as Mahavishnu and cheating people. His name was Vishikeshan. He was staying in a jungle near Jankadaipur, and he had an ashram there in the jungle, and he had many followers. And through his followers he was propagating that he was the incarnation of Mahavishnu, and after some time there will be war and he would come out and kill all the mlechas. So many people were going to see him because generally people are very sentimental. So if someone proclaims himself as God, people would come to see him and take benediction from him. So many people came to see him. And some ladies from a wealthy family from Binjarpur came to see that person, and something happened with those ladies. And there was a complaint about this visitation to the commissioner. So the commissioner informed Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur to go to that place and take action. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur came to that place with the superintendent of police. And he came there in the middle of the night, and he met Visikesana. And when he met with him, then he said that I will kill all these English people and establish religion. And this police superintendent was hearing this thing. He was hiding. He did not go with Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So then the next day they arrested him. And he was put in jail. And he had grown big hair. Generally the yogis, they grow beard and hair. So he was a yogi. He was doing some miracles. That's why people were attracted to him. And he had long hair. So when he was put in jail, then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ordered to cut his hair. Because then when the hair should be cut, then the yogis would lose their powers. And then that Visikesana did something, because he was angry with Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He did something, some yogic thing. That's why Bhakti Vinod Thakur and the members of his whole family, they fell sick. But Bhakti Vinod Thakur did not worry about this, because he had full faith on Krishna. So he did not become very much worried about this thing. And this Visikesana, he actually died in the jail. So after some time, then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was shifted to Bengal. Then he came to Bengal, and then from Bengal he came to Vrindavan to see the pastime places of Lord Krishna. So after seeing the pastime places of Lord Krishna here in Vrindavan, then he went back and he was attracted to Vrindavan. So then he was shifted to Krishnanagar as the deputy magistrate. And when he was at Krishnanagar, he was coming to Navadip every Saturday evening and staying at Navadip whole Saturday night, and then Sunday whole day, and then Monday morning he used to go back to Krishnanagar. So when he was staying at Navadip, he also met Jagannath Das Babaji there. When he had come to Vrindavan, he had met Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj for the first time, and then second time he met with him in Navadip. And so Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj gave him some service to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and he did that. And then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was planning that he would retire and come to Vrindavan and stay here in Vrindavan. That was his plan. Then one day he went to Tarkeswar for some government work. And in Tarkeswar, when he was resting, he saw a dream where Tarkeswar Shiv, Lord Shiva was telling him that you are now planning to go to Vrindavan, but what will happen to Mahaprabhu's birthplace? So, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur then understood that Lord Shiva wants him to find out the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Because that time everyone was thinking Lord Chaitanya's birthplace was Navadip. Still now some people think also. So getting the order from Lord Shiva, so he wanted to find out the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So then he read Bhakti Ratnakar, Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and then he found out from Bhakti Ratnakar, where it has been written that in Navadip there is a place called Mayapur where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur got the clue that Mayapur is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So then he, when he was living in Navadip on the Saturday evening, one night he was sitting on the roof of the building, and that was a dark night, around 10 o'clock at night. Then he saw a light in the other side of the Ganges. And he saw a marvelous building, and the whole building was lighted. And he was surprised to see this, that how such a marvelous building would be existing here in the other side of the Ganges. He had never seen it. And then his son was also there, Kamla Prasad. So he asked his son, "Did you see that light?" His son said, "Yes, I saw." But his assistant clerk, he asked him, "Did you see that?" He said, "No, I did not see." So then he went back to Krishnanagar that time. The next Saturday he came, and again he was sitting on the roof of that building, and again he saw the same building with light. So then next day he asked people that whether there is anything at the other side of the Ganges. They said there is nothing, only paddy fields. So he went himself next day to the other side of the Ganges, and then he asked people nearby, and he found out the place where Balal Sen was living, Balal Digi. And then he found out the names of different villages nearby by asking the locals. And then he also found out a village called Mayapur. Then Bhakti Vinod Thakur thought this Mayapur is actually the Mayapur village. And he went to that place and she only saw one tall tree was standing there, nothing else was there. And whole area was paddy field and nearby some people were living. Then he got a map of Navadip. One person from Krishnanagar, he made that map, one engineer. And then whole Navadip's map was made and he got this place, Mayapur. And then he wrote his book Navadip Mahatmya with this Navadip map in it. So then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, when he got Mahaprabhu's birthplace and he wanted to build a temple there, so he personally went door to door to beg. So the Mahaprabhu's temple could be built there. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, with the help of his son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was going to different villages, different places, and he was preaching. He was speaking himself, doing Sankirtan. In this way, actually, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur started Namahata preaching for the first time. And this Namahata preaching is actually the product of his brain, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's brain. Otherwise, this Namahata, no one knew what Namahata is. So then, he himself started this, and also he himself preached, gave pravachan, did Sankirtan with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then later on at Godrumdeep, he also made his place, and he was coming and living there later on, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also staying with him. And in this way, he was preaching all over Bengal, and also he started building this temple for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his birthplace, which is called Yoga Pitha. And he also built another bhajan kutir in Puri near Haridas Thakur's Samadhi. That is called Bhakti Kuti, and now it is under ISKCON's possession. We have a temple there and some guest house also there. So that was the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and originally it was a hut, thatched hut. I have seen that that time, thatched hut. Then later on, when ISKCON took over, then this building came up. So anyway, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has a great contribution for our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya in the form of his preaching, in form of establishing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace, in form of writing books. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written so many books, and all our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, which is very difficult to understand, but Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has simplified this Vaishnava philosophy in his poems. Anyone can read Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's poems, which are very, very famous, and whole Vaishnava philosophy we can get from his poems. in a simplified form. That's why we are all very much indebted to our seventh Goswami, our great Acharya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, for his contribution to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And on this day, we all would pray at his lotus feet to bless us so we could spread this instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. So we can spread the holy name following the footsteps of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and make whole world Krishna conscious. In this way, we please our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, by whose will Srila Prabhupada could go to West and spread the holy name of the Lord, and also please Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, which was his dream that the whole world should come together to Mayapur and chant the holy name of the Lord in great ecstasy. So now, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's prophecy has come to become true, and now we see that the Vaishnavas from all over the world are coming together and chanting the holy name of the Lord in Sri Mayapur Dham, glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj ki, Jai Sri Gaurav Narayan ki, Jai Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Jai Sri Radha Syam Sundar Lalita Visakha Devi ki, Jai Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.